It ought to have been a reasonably straightforward week, a mere technical discussion about the abandonment of a rural road. Instead, it developed into an understanding and belief by the earth protectors of just how far the DFI is prepared to go in the erosion and hollowing out of its procedural safeguards to punch through this application. As I described in podcast number 62, retired civil engineer Douglas Hill challenged the legality and compliance of the Roads Abandonment process, saying he would not jeopardise his professional integrity by participating in this noise, and calling for other engineers in the room, some who were former colleagues of his, to examine their conscience. My belief is they told their collective consciousness to go and sit in the corner as they got on with what can only be described as a process verging on criminality. There was huge shock in the room that a highly experienced roads and safety expert representing community concerns self-excluded himself from the process and was finally barred from attending any further sessions by the commissioners. During the week, many representations were made from the local community about the importance of this road to the area, from Turbary rights to training routes for runners and boxers and everything in between. We were left in no doubt about how essential this road is for connection and community, that it is a vital element of the matrix supporting commercial and farming activities, leisure and tourism, health and well-being of the locale. Local woman Olivia McCullough's contribution was deeply moving, describing the road as part of us, capturing what this fight is about. This, the emotional reality of ordinary people, contrasts the language used by consultants on their spreadsheets who refer to human beings as receptors. I'm still trying to work out at what point communities became receptors, lived experiences become data points, and sensitive landscapes become impacts to be mitigated. It's very bloody obvious. If you can strip the humanity out of community, then the lived reality of these communities disappears behind technical language and consultants' reports. But it's all okay, because DFI is still claiming neutrality. When probed, they repeatedly insisted they had not made a decision on the road abandonment order, yet, unsurprisingly, draft abandonment documentation already exists. This inevitably increases the perception that decisions have already been made ever before any evidence has been heard. They admitted they carried out no independent assessment on whether the road is necessary, effectively handing this responsibility to Dalradian and the PAC. Again and again, community repeatedly challenged why public infrastructure is being surrendered for private financial interests. And once again, it was felt by all third-party protectors that DFI are acting less like custodians of public infrastructures and more like facilitators for the applicant. I believe it's a bit like Ireland during the war, neutral on the side of the Allies. DFI, to all intents and purposes, is looking like it's neutral on the side of the applicant. If that's not the reality, then the department is doing a remarkably poor job of demonstrating otherwise. The timetable now appears to be operating on the same scientific principles as a lava lamp. Every time you think it's settled, somebody gives it another shake and the whole thing starts floating off in a different direction again. Landscape hearings are cancelled, and then they're not, and then they are. Threatened judicial reviews also begin to impact inquiry scheduling. This leads to anxiety for third-party protectors, the only unsalaried people in the room, I might add, who repeatedly raise concerns about wasted leave from work, extra expert costs, duplicate attendance and procedural unfairness. It is true to say the process increasingly feels inaccessible and exhausting for ordinary people trying to participate. And you would have to hope that those administrating this process never one day find themselves depending on the same system for fairness, empathy and equal treatment. From the start, we have always said we are a stand for the air we breathe, the water we drink, the earth that supports us, and the health of communities, both now and in the future. But after this week, it feels like we are also being forced to defend democratic values at a time when we can already see in the United States how quickly public trust, institutional integrity, and basic safeguards can begin to collapse once those in power stop respecting them. And really, that just about sums up this week. For more detailed account of each day, go to our website, don'tmindus.com. It'll be in the show notes below. Or indeed, listen to the 3 preceding podcasts before this podcast. And finally, a request. If you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, do give us a follow. And if you listen to us on Apple, give us a review and hit the star button as well. It really makes a difference and helps us to get our voices out even further. We'll see you all next week.